Jiminy Crickets.
Jiminy Cricket is the name. I'm a happy-go-lucky fellow, always getting it wrong for singing my song. A merry old soul am I. Jiminy Cricket is the name. I'll be hanging around this evening. I'll be tipping my hat and telling you that Jiminy Cricket is the name.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 110 of Jiminy Crickets. Today, we're going to have one of our very popular and highly requested music episodes, and this week is something extra special. How are you doing, Ruthie?
I'm doing great, and I'm excited to start this episode.
Before we get to all of our special songs, we have a very special announcement. The Jiminy Crickets podcast proudly endorses Concierge Vacation Planners, a Disney-authorized specialty vacation planning service. Concierge doesn't just book your trip, they walk you through the entire process, helping you plan out every detail, one-on-one, to make the very most out of your vacation while saving you both time and money. And the best part is, they charge nothing for their services. You will get the exact same pricing as if you booked your vacation directly through Disney. But in using Concierge expertise, you've got the added bonus of having your very own personal Disney Guru Planner by your side. Both Ruthie and I are also satisfied customers, and we just can't recommend them enough. Visit their website at www.concierge.com. That's www.concierge.com, as in mouse ears. So when you book your next Disney vacation, be it Walt Disney World, Disneyland, the Disney Cruise Line, or many of the other Disney destinations available worldwide, contact Concierge Vacation Planners and be sure to tell them DisneyChris sent you. This week, we wanted to pay tribute to all of the many live bands who have been in-house groups at Disneyland from 1955 to the present. And we have 30 different groups representing the 30 most historically significant and iconic live groups to perform in Walt Disney's original Magic Kingdom. And that being said, our very first entry in our top 30 list is
the world-famous Disneyland Band.
Right, and they first started performing in the park on opening day in 1955. They were signed up for a 3-month engagement, which lasted about 60 years. So, what song are we going to listen to, Ruthie?
Representing the Disneyland Band is the Disney Medley Part 1 and Part 2, recorded in 1968. Our next group is the Firehouse 5+2.
Ruthie, do you know why it's called the Firehouse 5+2?
No, Chris, why are they called the Firehouse 5+2?
Because it had 7 members. The Firehouse 5+2 was also at Disneyland on opening day, and it was a very interesting group because it was completely comprised of musicians who, by day, were part of Walt Disney's animation staff at the Disney studio. The leader of the group was the famous animator and Disney legend Ward Kimball, and throughout the years, the members switched in and switched out, but some of the more famous members were George Bruns, who played tuba, Harper Goff on banjo, and Frank Thomas on piano. And later, in the 2000s, a group called the Hook and Ladder Band would play in front of the Disneyland Firehouse, which was directly inspired by the original Firehouse 5+2.
Representing the Firehouse 5+2 is Come Back Sweet Papa, recorded in 1960. Our next group was known as the Sax Quartet.
Yes, throughout the years, this group actually was known by several names. They started playing about a year after the park opened, give or take, on Main Street. And originally, they all donned Keystone Cop outfits. Later on, they dressed more often as firemen, wearing suspenders and fireman caps. And also, for certain special promotional events, they would play different types of music and wear completely different costumes. For example, when the Dick Tracy's Diamond Double Cross show was playing at Videopolis, they dressed up as gangsters and played blues music at the entrance to Videopolis. When Toontown opened, they wore cartoon-style costumes and were the Toontown Sax Quartet. And when they had the Blast to the Past events, which were held during the late 80s, which were sort of a tribute to the 1950s, they wore 1950s costumes and played 50s songs. So this group hasn't been seen in the parks for several years, but they're due for a comeback.
Representing the Sax Quartet is Minnie's Yoo-Hoo, recorded in 1973. Our next group is the Elliott Brothers Orchestra.
The Elliott Brothers started playing when the Carnation Plaza Gardens opened. They were hired as an in-house big band orchestra, and they began playing there in 1956 and continued to be the official in-house big band of Disneyland well into the 1970s. And they were famous for their date night events.
Representing the Elliott Brothers Orchestra is Date Night at Disneyland and the La Raspa, recorded in 1957.
Let's dance at Disneyland. Date nights are late nights at Disneyland. The sky lights up at 9 each night, Friday and Saturday nights. Date nights at Disneyland,
for dancing, romancing to real life bands.
under a million twinkling lights, Friday and Saturday nights. Dance slow and dream, or cha-cha-cha, rock and roll. To play whatever you say. Take your date to Disneyland. Fireworks are great at Disneyland. The sky lights up at 9 each night.
Romantic rides in the cool moonlight.
We're open till the clock strikes 1 a.m. Friday and Saturday under a million twinkling lights. Friday and Saturday night.
Our next group is the Gonzalez Trio.
The Gonzalez Trio were a sister and two brothers who played Mexican music at a bandstand in Zucala Park, which was located adjacent to Casa de Fritos. And they were featured in many television specials on the Disneyland television program and Walt Disney Presents, and in several postcards. They were very photographed. And that's why we wanted to represent them, because there's a lot of video and photographic evidence of them being in the parks for several years.
Representing the Gonzalez Trio is La Bamba, recorded in 1961.
Bum, 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 bum.
Understand you did. Why? I will always love you. Gonna send you away, and your love did.
He said,
Para bailar la bomba se necesita una boca de gracia tan chiquita y arriba y arriba, ay arriba y arriba y arriba y arriba. Yo no soy marinero, por ti seré. Para ser diputado se necesita una boca de gracia tan chiquita y arriba y arriba, ay arriba y arriba y arriba y arriba. Yo no soy marinero, por ti seré.
El sombrero me lo quito y me lo pongo. El sombrero me lo quito y me lo pongo.
Mira, mira qué moral, mira qué moral, mira qué moral. Para bailar la bomba se necesita una boca de gracia tan chiquita y arriba y arriba, ay arriba y arriba y arriba y arriba. Yo no soy marinero, por ti seré.
El sombrero me lo quito y me lo pongo. El sombrero me lo quito y me lo pongo.
Mira, mira qué moral, mira qué moral.
Our next group is the Straw Hatters.
The Straw Hatters were an in-house Dixieland band that began playing in the park about a year after the park opened. In fact, there were bandstands located throughout Disneyland in its early years that were designated for a specific group, and that was sort of their specific bandstand. I just mentioned the Gonzalez Trio. They had a Mexican bandstand. This group had a Dixieland bandstand, which was located right on the edge of the shore, right along the rivers of America, across the way from the original New Orleans Street, which today you would know as the Stage Door Cafe and the River Belle Terrace. So it was right across from there, right along the river's edge. But this was an in-house Dixieland band. They played there from the mid-50s well into the 1970s. There is a group that currently plays in Disneyland, which is inspired by the original Straw Hatters, called the Straw Hat Strutters.
Representing the Straw Hatters is Fidgety Feet, recorded in 1957. next group is the Kahawanu Trio.
The Kahawanu Trio played at a venue called the Plaza Pavilion. The original Plaza Pavilion, one side faced Main Street and the other side faced Adventureland. Half of the roof was a Victorian gabled roof, and the backside of the same building was a thatched roof. So you went in from the Main Street side and you came out on a patio on the Adventureland side facing the Jungle Cruise. And there was a bandstand and they had live Hawaiian music. So this was the official bandstand for the Kahawanu Trio.
Representing the Kahawanu Trio is Waikiki Hula, recorded in 1957.
He aloha ia noa o Waikiki ea Kanehe o ke kai ha wana wana He aloha ia noa o Waikiki ea Kanehe o ke kai ha wana wana Ai ho kamakani o ave mahali ea Ke au na o kalipoa Kaulana ko inoa ina malini ea Ka apuni ko unani puni ka honua Huli aku nana ya kai mana hila ea I kei kanani a o Honolulu Haina ia mai ana ka puana ea He aloha ia no a o Waikiki Haina ia mai ana ka puana ea He aloha ia no a o Waikiki
Our next performer is the Coke Corner Pianist.
Now, I'm not exactly sure when the Coca-Cola Refreshment Corner first started having a live ragtime player, because I've never seen any photographs from the really early years or any video footage of a piano player at that venue. I'm assuming it must have began sometime in the 1950s, but that's just an educated guess. But I do know there still is a piano player there every day, including today. Probably the most famous person to play piano at this venue, Rod Miller, who worked there from 1967 until 2006.
Representing the Coke Corner Pianist is Alexander's Ragtime Band, recorded in 1995. Our next group is the very famous Dapper Dans.
The Dapper Dans didn't start performing in Disneyland until 1959. Before that, they did have barbershop quartets in the park, but usually they were invited guests who performed outside of Disneyland. So, in 1959, Disneyland had its first full-time in-house barbershop balladeer group, and they have been performing up until the present day. Of course, it's not the same members as the 1959 version.
Representing the Dapper Dans is Coney Island Washboard, recorded in 2000.
On her Coney Island washboard she would play. You can see her on the boardwalk every day. Bum, bum, bum. Soap suds all around, bum, bum, bum. Bubbles on the ground. Rub it up, in a little tub. All those tunes she's found. Little thimbles on her fingers make some noise. Place Charleston on the laundry for the boys. She can brag a tune right through the knees of a brand new pair of BVDs on a Coney Island washboard roundelay. On her Coney Island washboard she would play. You could see her on the boardwalk every day. Soap suds all around, little bubbles on the ground. Rub it up in a little tub, all those tunes she's found. Thimbles on her fingers make the noise. Plays Charleston on the laundry for the boys. She can bag a tune right through the knees of a brand new pair of BVDs on a Coney Island washboard roundelay. Bum bum bum, la da da da, bong bong bong, la da da da, bong bong bong, la da dee la da dee, la da dee la da dee, la da dee la da dee, la do dee dee, bum bum bum, la da da da, bong 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 bong, la da da da, bong bong bong. She can rag a tune, sing a song as easy breezes blow along on a Coney Island washboard roundelay. Hey hey, her Coney Island washboard roundelay.
Our next group is the Fantasyland Polka Band.
Again, like Coke Corner Pianist, I'm not sure exactly when this group first started playing in the park. I do know that they did start playing in the 1950s because I have seen photographs from the 50s, but I can't pinpoint the exact year. They performed up until the 1970s.
Representing the Fantasyland Polka Band is the medley Hi Ho and Whistle While You Work, recorded in 1973. Our next performer is Fred Burry, the Swiss yodeler.
Now, I believe he first started performing in Disneyland in 1959 in conjunction with the opening of the Matterhorn, and he most often performed on the Matterhorn. He was a park regular. He released several albums as the official Disneyland yodeler, and from what I can tell, he performed up until the 1970s.
Representing Fred Burry is Alpazug Losner Chilby, recorded in 1959.
Let's Lozano Chimmi, es geht so lustig zu. Ein Manchi am Kuchen oder zu. Singen mit Tanzen und gehen ins Bett. Lozano Chimmi, you hey. Van oud komt voor jong, wij dansen bis in morgen en doeken niet op stom. Wij drinken nog een flesje, wij komen er niet schwong. Wat zijn er nog heel nieuw, hè?
Our next group is the Yachtsmen.
The Yachtsmen performed at another designated bandstand, which was actually located right next to the submarine voyage in a little snack area called the Yacht Club.
Representing the Yachtsmen is High and Dry, recorded in 1961.
Love is a game so often played, a game of do or die. I have sung and played my share, but they left me high and dry. Now take care, you bonny lad, don't be a hasty lover. She'll kiss you soft and pledge her heart, then she'll leave you for another and set you off to roam. Don't you grieve for her, or sit yourself to cry. One day a love will come along that won't leave you high and dry. Love is a game so often played, a game of do or die. I will sing and play once more, though she leaves me high, though she leaves me high, though she leaves me high and dry, though she leaves me high and dry.
Our next group is K-Bell and the Spacemen.
K-Bell and the Spacemen were a group that performed in the original Tomorrowland at a venue called the Space Bar, which by day was a fast food eatery and by night was a dance venue.
Representing K-Bell and the Spacemen is the Surfer Stomp, recorded in 1961. Our next group is the Clara Ward Singers.
The Clara Ward Singers were actually an outside group, a gospel group that were pretty well known, and Disney sort of had them become park regulars for a time during the 1960s, and they actually recorded an album at Disneyland.
Representing the Clara Ward Singers is Down by the Riverside, recorded in 1963. Our next group is the Pearly Band.
The Pearly Band first started playing when Mary Poppins premiered, and they are sort of a recreation of the Pearly Band that plays during Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious during the film Mary Poppins. And they have been performing since Mary Poppins first was released up until the present day.
Representing the Pearly Band is, of course, our Mary Poppins medley, recorded in 1973. The next group is the Royal Street Bachelors.
The Royal Street Bachelors first started playing in the park when New Orleans Square opened in 1966, and they were sort of the official Dixieland group of New Orleans and were usually found wandering the back alleyways and streets, and they were usually a trio or a quartet with a bass, a banjo, clarinet, and a guitar.
Representing the Royal Street Bachelors is the Old Banjo Blues, recorded in 1966. next group is the Kids of the Kingdom.
The Kids of the Kingdom, known as Disneyland's young singing sensations, premiered in 1967 along with the new Tomorrowland. And they performed both at the Tomorrowland stage and at the Tomorrowland Terrace.
Representing the Kids of the Kingdom is the Bare Necessities, recorded in 1968.
Couldn't be fonder of my big home.
The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me.
If you look under the rocks and plants and take a glance at the fancy ants and maybe try a few, the bare necessities of life will come to you. Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities are Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. When you pick a pawpaw or a prickly pear, if you prick a raw paw, next time beware.
Don't pick up prickly pear by paw. If you pick up pear, better use a claw.
But you don't need to use a claw when you pick a pear of the big pawpaw. Have I given you a clue? Yeah! The bare necessities of life will come to you. Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities are Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. So have a good time here in our backyard. The only crime here is working too hard. Don't spend your time just looking around for something you want that can't be found. When you find out you can live without it and go along, not thinking about it, I'll tell you something true. The bare necessities of life will come to you.
Our next group is the Adventureland Steel Drum Band.
The Adventureland Steel Drum Band was sort of an import from Walt Disney World. When Walt Disney World opened, they had a steel drum band in their Adventureland area, and it was so popular that they decided to bring a duplicate group over to the California park. And they started playing in the 70s, and they didn't officially retire, but I don't think they've been playing in the park since the 90s, as far as I can tell.
Representing the Adventureland Steel Drum Band is the song It's a Small World, recorded in 1976. next group is the Bluegrass Boys.
The Bluegrass Boys premiered along with the opening of Bear Country in 1972. Again, though, this was a group that also performed in Walt Disney World when it opened in 71, and it was so popular that when they opened Bear Country in Disneyland a year later, they had a group with the same name playing the same type of music in the California park.
Representing the Bluegrass Boys is the song Tennessee, recorded in 1973.
Tennessee, down in the southern states is where I want to be, where the valleys are so green and the mountains are so tall. You'll know just what I mean when you hear them say you all. Tennessee, Tennessee, I hear you calling me, I hear you calling me, the home of Davy Crockett in the hills of Tennessee. Folks at home, Mama always said to me, Eddie, please don't roam. Now that I'm straight away, my heart is full of home. When I think Mom and Dad, that's where I want to go. Tennessee, Tennessee, I hear you calling me, I hear you calling me, the home of Davy Crockett in the hills of Tennessee. Tennessee, I take it there'll be no more roaming for me. There lives a sweetheart who said she'll marry me as soon as I get back to that state of Tennessee. Tennessee, Tennessee, I hear you calling me, I hear you calling me, the home of Davy Crockett in the hills of Tennessee.
Our next group is Los Mariachis de San Marcos.
This was a mariachi group that replaced the Gonzalez Trio, and they played in the same area. By now, this establishment was called Casa Mexicana, and they provided Mexican music while you ate your tacos and burritos.
You're making me hungry. Representing Los Mariachis de San Marcos is the song Guadalajara, recorded in 1973. Our next group is Papa Do Run Run.
Papa Do Run Run is a Beach Boys cover band. They first started playing in the park in the 1970s at the Tomorrowland Terrace, and they've been performing there ever since. When they had the Blast to the Past event at Disneyland in the 80s, they actually set up a whole beachside set near It's a Small World, and they were part of the Disneyland Beach Party.
Representing Papa Do Run Run is the song I Get Around, recorded in 1985.
Round, round, get around, I get around, get around, round, round, I get around, I get around, round, round, I get around, get around, round, round, I get around, I make a real good friend, round, round, I get around. I'm getting back, driving up and down the same old strip. I gotta find a new place where the kids are hip. My buddies and me are getting real well known. Yeah, the bad guys know us and they leave us alone. Get around, round, round, I get around. Get around, round, round, I get around. Real cool, I make a real good friend. Round, round, I get around. Get around, get Yeah, we always take my car, cause it's never been beat. And we've never missed yet with the girls we meet. None of the guys go steady, cause it wouldn't be right to leave your best girl home now on Saturday night. Get around, round, round, I get around. 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 Round, round, get around, I get around. Get around, round, round, 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 I get around.
The next group is the All-American College Band.
In the 1970s, Disney started an internship program where they invited college students to perform in the park during the summers and over the holiday periods. And the All-American College Band was a group of college students from all over the country that were in marching bands for their universities. They began playing in the 1970s, and they bring them back every year to this day.
Representing the All-American College Band is the song Bubbles, recorded in 1978.
And this was the official song of the All-American College Band.
Our next group is Main Street Maniacs.
The Main Street Maniacs were a washboard, sort of roaring 20s type group that performed up and down Main Street beginning in the 80s. And in addition, they were also known as the Big Thunder Boys, which replaced the Bluegrass Boys, the original bluegrass group, when Big Thunder Mountain opened in 1979. They would go backstage, change into cowboy outfits, and play bluegrass music in front of Big Thunder Mountain. So this group is sort of unique in that they were two groups, not just one.
Representing the Main Street Maniacs is Washboard Wiggles, recorded in 1992. Our next group is the Side Street Strutters.
The Side Street Strutters first started playing in New Orleans Square at the French Market in the 1980s, and they return often up until this day. But they are an outside group. They're not an in-house group, but they have played at Disneyland for long engagements, and they often return. And you'll usually find them during peak periods and during the Christmas holidays.
Representing the Side Street Strutters is the song Sweet Georgia Brown, recorded in 1994. Our next group is the Make Believe Brass.
The Make Believe Brass is a all-brass group that premiered at Disneyland when the new Fantasyland opened in 1983, and they performed in the castle courtyard area, and they also provided live music for the Sword and the Stone ceremony.
Representing the Make Believe Brass is Comedians Gallup and William Tell Overture, recorded in 1994. Our next group is the very famous Billy Hill and the Hillbillies.
Yeah, they first started playing in the park during an event in the 80s called State Fair, and they provided music and entertainment for a event at the Big Thunder Ranch called Pigmania. And they were so popular that they stayed on for 3 decades. And they replaced the Golden Horseshoe Jamboree in the Golden Horseshoe Saloon in the 90s, and they became the regular act at the Golden Horseshoe stage for many years.
Representing Billy Hill and the Hillbillies is the song Mama Don't Allow, recorded in 2006.
There
blues start playing here. We don't care what mama don't allow. Play them blues up anyhow. Mama don't allow them blues start playing here. Play what you feel, yeah, fella, that's nice. He's going for another one. He's going for a record. One breath of air. That was good. All right. And mama don't allow surfing music here. Mama don't allow surfing music here. We don't care what mama don't allow. We're gonna surf anyhow. Mama don't allow surfing music here. Let's surf. Hang on, mama. Go, kids. Book him down.
Our next group is the Bootstrappers.
The Bootstrappers is a pirate band which premiered at Disneyland, I believe, in the late 90s. And they also were a big part of the revamp of Pirates of the Caribbean when they added Johnny Depp and when they changed over Tom Sawyer's Island to Pirate's Lair.
Representing the Bootstrappers is the song Away, 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 recorded in 2007.
Daring and buccaneers, come and capture your treasure. Sail with us on the seven seas and find your richest reward. Live the dream and you'll find a world filled with gold beyond measure. Bid farewell to your landlocked friends and matey climb aboard. Away, 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 come live the life we love. Away, 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 adventures waiting for you. Come on, ye brave young buccaneers, come live the life, the pirate's life. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come live the life we love. With a sword in each hand, we're off to seek faraway lands. Away, 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 come live the life we love. You see Tortuga's coast, oh, you're gonna be smiling. The songs, the fights, the days, the nights, there's so much to behold. Sail with us on the westward wind, see the beautiful islands. Sail with us and we'll cross the earth in search of silver and gold. Away, 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 come live the life we love. Away, 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 adventures waiting for you. Come on, ye brave young buccaneers, come live the life, the pirate's life. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come live the life we love. With a sword in each hand, we're off to seek faraway lands. Away, 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 come live the life we love. Pirate fights for his treasure, mate. Be ready with your cutlass. But then there is the party, that's the part he likes the best. When we sail into your port, heroes you will be, boys. A patch on your eye and a lace on your boot, a pirate's what you'll be. Away, 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 come live the life we love. Away, 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 adventures waiting for you. Come on, you brave young buccaneers, come live the life, the pirate's life. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come live the life we love. With a sword in each hand, we're off to see faraway lands. Away, 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 come live the life we love.
Our next group is the Jambalaya Jazz Band.
Jambalaya Jazz Band is a group that performs in New Orleans Square, traditional New Orleans style jazz.
Representing the Jambalaya Jazz Band is the song Bourbon Street, recorded in 2007. Our next group is the Voices of Liberty.
The Voices of Liberty is a group that premiered at Epcot Center in 1982 and performed at the American Adventure. And in 2012, they came to California for a limited time engagement and performed at the Opera House Theater on Main Street for several months, and they were very popular there. I hope they come back someday.
Representing the Voices of Liberty is the song This Land Is Your Land, recorded in 1984.
This land is your land. This land is my land. This land was made for you and me. land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water, this land was made for you and me.
This land is your
This
land.
land is your
This land
land.
is my
This land
land.
is my
From
land.
California to the New York Island, the redwood
From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water,
this land was made for you and me.
As I was walking that criminal highway, I saw above me that in the sky, I saw below me a golden valley there. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water, this land was made for you and me.
This land is your land. This land is my land. From California
This land, this from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water, this land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me.
And our final group is the New Disneyland Band.
The new Disneyland Band replaced the original Disneyland Band as part of the 60th anniversary celebration in 2015. And they are a lot like the original band, but they wear slightly modified costumes, and they are a little more hip and modern in their presentation than was the original Disneyland Band.
Representing the New Disneyland Band is the song Zippity Doo Dah, recorded in 2015.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed our special music episode, number 110, of Jiminy Crickets. Ruthie, where can everybody find Jiminy Crickets on the web?
You can listen to all of our past shows, including audio versions of Dateline Jiminy Crickets, on our website, jcricketpodcast.blogspot.com. You can also listen to us on iTunes under the name Jiminy Crickets, that's with an exclamation point, and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. On our YouTube channel, we share updates to the DisneyChris website, including the Disneyland Magical Audio Tour, as well as past episodes of the Jiminy Crickets podcast and Dateline Jiminy Crickets. You can find our channel if you search for DisneyChris.com. Remember, .com is spelled out D-O-T-C-O-M, and don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell. You can also join in the conversation over on our Facebook page, Jiminy Crickets Podcast, where you can not only interact with Chris and me, but you can also stay up to date on all the latest details of our many World Wide Web endeavors. In addition to all the normal places you have always found our podcast, you can now also find us at The Roarbots, a unique website celebrating all aspects of geek culture, including Disney fandom. We are proud to be part of this motley crew of pop culture superfans, and we share an episode of our podcast there each and every Thursday. So be sure to check out this amazing website at www.theroarbots.com. If you would like to contact the show with your comments or questions, our email address is DisneyChrisDotcom@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
And we are now also on Instagram. Our official Instagram account is at DisneyChris_JC_podcast. There are already hundreds of colorful vintage Disney images on our page, and we are continually adding more fun Disney things to see. This is also a great place to get updates of our podcast and the Disney Chris website, so be sure to follow us on Instagram today. You can also find me on Twitter at DisneyChris73, and on Facebook, Ruthie can be found under the name Ruthie Brown, and I can be found under the name Chris Linden, that's LYNDON as in Lyndon Johnson. My website is DisneyChris.com, home to the Disney Song of the Day and the Disneyland Magical Audio Tour, where you'll find over 1,650 audio tracks from the happiest place on earth. And we would like to also give special thanks to those who help us spread our magic with their generous support. You can help support our show and the Disney Chris website by becoming a Patreon subscriber. By joining our illustrious roster of supporters, you will not only receive exclusive audio content every month, but your name will be featured on screen during the closing credits of the Dateline Jiminy Crickets podcast. Alternatively, you can also make a one-time only donation or recurring donation via PayPal, and you'll find a link to all these donation options at DisneyChris.com/donate.html. And Ruthie, do you have any final words for today?
Yes, I hope this episode took you on a trip down memory lane with all of your Disneyland trips. And thank you for listening.
And always let your conscience be your guide.
When your heart is in your dream,